Sometimes it's very important to say thank you and give credit where credit is due. So here I am. This is not a coffee grind. This is not a drive with Bob. I'm Doug. I'm not impersonating anybody. I'm driving around on my Dallas Cowboy mobile. See that star on the back? Go Cowboys. This is our year, Super Bowl or bust, baby. Well, Super Bowl or disappointment. Anyway, I wanted to tell you a story about a time that I did not give credit where credit is due. I had a reason why. I had an excuse in my mind as to why, but I should have thought through a little bit better. So here's the deal. I have this band called Lust Control, and back in the 90s we had signed a production deal with a guy named Chuck Sugar, who owned Rivendell Studios, where the Archangel album and a Petra album, I think, and a Wayne Watson album, I think Watercolor Ponies was recorded there, and Galactic Cowboys did some work there at one time. Anyway, we signed a production deal with this guy, and Kemper Crab was the producer. And Kemper Crab came to see our concert along with Chuck, and came to see us rehearse, and we finally had, I think, 13 songs, or do we have 18 songs? I can't remember. I think it was 13 songs. We had the songs ready to perform for him, and as the producer, he came and said, okay, these songs sound good. These songs sound good. He didn't say these songs sound good. He's not a pig farmer. He said, these songs sound good. I want you to rehearse them 200 times each. What? So anyway, we got this giant sheet of paper. I think I glued several 8x10 sheets of paper, 8.5x11 sheets of paper into a giant chart, or had some giant paper, and we wrote each song title down, and we made a little check mark, like a little slash, every time we rehearsed it. And we rehearsed those 200 times each. We did not go into the studio until we had each song rehearsed at least 200 times each. Then you'll be tight as a tick, Kemper said. He wanted us to go in the studio and knock out these songs like in one or two or just a very few takes, just knowing the songs inside and outside. Anyway, that's the background of the story. Our drummer, his real name is Dan Poole, and his middle name is Matt. In Lust Control, we all went by our middle names, but John Wilson, who is our bass player, goes by Butch, and so he deviated from the rule. And the other bass player, Maury Milliken, his middle name was Dwayne, and he introduced himself on our intro tape as Dwayne the Bathtub, but I digress severely. Anyway, so Dan Poole has a mother named Yvonne, and Yvonne had a house in Pflugerville, Texas, which is spelled Pfluggerville. It's still pronounced Pflugerville. The P is silent. But anyway, she was gracious enough to let us rehearse, and I think it was Dan's old bedroom, one of the bedrooms of her house. He had his drum set up in there, and we would go up there at least twice a week for a 3-hour rehearsal on average, twice a week, until we knocked out all those songs 200 times each. So we would go through the set, pretty much the track listing of the album, starting off with Grace and going through till we got to Victim of Revolution / Grace Reprise, till we marked off 200 checks. I don't want to say checks because they were like lines. You do 4 of those lines, and you do a diagonal one, and that's 5. Anyway, so Yvonne was gracious enough to let us rehearse at her house, you know, a couple days a week for 3 hours at a time. That is no small favor to give somebody. A lot of graciousness. Anyway, while Lust Control was preparing to go in the studio and record We Are Not Ashamed, this 13-song album recorded in 24-track studio in Houston, I signed a deal with Blonde Vinyl Records, the Mike Knott rock and roll Christian rock icon, pioneer guy. He has a record label called Blonde Vinyl. He signed us to a deal, and what I did and what I proposed, and I got clearance from everybody, was we would take all the songs off of the first album and the second album. This is a Condemnation and Dancing Naked, minus the 13 or there wasn't 13, but minus the songs we were re-recording for We Are Not Ashamed. We Are Not Ashamed had some original songs like Victim and Pray for the City and Speaking in Tongues and Get Married. But the songs that we were re-recording, like The Big M and Mad at the Girls, You Make Me Puke, we weren't going to release those to Blonde Vinyl, but all the songs that we were not re-recording, that were just going to sit around and not do anything, we released those as Fun Feeling, which I don't know, had what, 21 songs on it, maybe close to 40. Anyway, probably 20 something songs. I digress. Sorry for being so detailed when telling a story. So I'll get back to my southern drawl, slowing down to tell a story mode. Anyway, so we remastered the tracks from This Is a Condemnation and Dancing Naked over at Doug Doyle's place, a house in Southern California that was a mastering facility. And Doug Doyle had a Macintosh computer, that little box thing, that early Macintosh. We remastered the tunes from This Is a Condemnation and Dancing Naked, and we threw in a couple of live tracks from Cornerstone, which was recorded on a boom box, a jam box, a little condenser microphone. Anyway, so Fun Feeling came out. A lot of stories about this album that are kind of fun. Like the photograph for the front cover was one of the real test chimpanzees from the University of Texas, who trained and tested the chimpanzees that were used in the NASA space program. So we got one of those photographs, real high res, super high, large negative. It was like at least a 2x2 negative, I think, for that thing. Anyway, so the Fun Feeling comes out on Blonde Vinyl Records on cassette and CD. And I was happy to bring copies of the CD to give to the band members, who was Bradford, Butch, Matt, and Gene. And those were not I was the only player that went back to the Condemnation and Dancing Naked sessions. That's my excuse. So anyway, I handed a copy of Fun Feeling to Yvonne, and she excitedly opened it up, took off the shrink wrap, opened up the CD booklet. Oh no, do you see where this is going? And the first thing she does is she looks at the thank you credits. Did we thank her for letting us use her house 2 days a week, 3 hours a time? No. For some stupid reason, I was thinking, well, we're going to give her credit on the We Are Not Ashamed album for sure. She's going to get lots of credit on that album, but this album was a re-release of old tunes. Didn't involve any of the current band members. And so I was just, the special thanks on that pertained to the people involved in those recordings and nobody else. And what a mistake. The look on her face when she ran through the thank yous and realized her name was on there, and it should have been. Oh, that was a low moment. I can laugh about it now, but it still kind of stings. Mistake I made. So there's my moral lesson, the story behind it, why you should always give credit where credit's due. Go out of your way to thank people who help you. When you have an opportunity to honor and thank them and show them respect, do it.
Rock stars on God.